When you're in the midst of it, have you ever just opened up Photoshop, grabbed that player cutout you had from a few weeks ago, throw a little grunge background on there, and slap it on social media and call it good? Well, you're not alone. On this episode of Sports Creatives Anonymous, we're going to talk about all that fall sports content that you're probably going to see before it even hits October. I'm calling it bingo, but you could go ahead and consider it your cheat sheet for this fall. All right, welcome back to the Sports Creatives Anonymous podcast. I'm your host, Clayton Jones. I have more than 20 years of experience in the sports creative game, and today we're going to talk about fall sports content and all the posts and the type of posts you're probably going to see, whether you are in charge of your social media account where you work, or maybe even your favorite team that you see. This will probably resonate a little bit more with those one person and smaller staffed communications departments, just kind of thinking D2 and lower. But even those D1s and everything else, you guys might probably see a lot of this stuff as well. You know, I'm having some fun with this being a game, and because, these are the same things you see over and over again. But particularly at the small level, you see these things because there are so many different aspects of communications that people are doing. I know myself as one full-time person department at Western Oregon, I am in charge of not only social media, but the communication side, stats, the website, make sure the broadcast is okay, the game day table. Just all the different aspects of things that kind of go on throughout a game. So an easy way for us to still create content and still post is having these templated things. So when I'm kind of making fun of this a little bit, also know that I completely understand, and I am just as guilty. I definitely have my own templates that I make every single year. And another reason to have these templates and have these dedicated things is because it kind of gives your brain a bit of a break, and you could kind of be more intentional about where you get creative, right? In past episodes, I've talked about burnout and making sure that your mind's fresh. And I think having these templates, having these things that you're going to see all the time that I'm probably about to tease about a little bit, but also in all seriousness, it's stuff I'll be posting. It's stuff a lot of people will be posting. And, maybe if you're part of a small department, you get to kind of see some of these things. And I'm going to try to give some alternative ideas as well that maybe you can do to change these up. And there are things that I'm thinking about doing that I haven't even done yet. So I am far from speaking from experience and saying that I am the almighty content maker and have done all these things. These are all things I want to do, but sometimes I run out of time, or I just don't have the, bandwidth to do all that stuff. All right, let's get started with this fall sports content bingo and these 25 things that you've either already made or you're probably going to be making by the end of October. And like I said, if you aren't the one making this stuff and you're just a creative trying to get started, you'll follow along with your favorite sports team, and I bet you might hit bingo on this bingo card with a lot of these items. And like I said, let's go ahead and laugh about them a bit, but we could also talk a little bit about how maybe we can make them a little fresher as well, right? I don't always have the best ideas, but that might be a place where, hey, shoot me some DMs, shoot me an email or whatever with some ideas that you may have and something I could share on a future podcast. All right, number one, we are going to talk about the Media Day recap. Oh my God. Thank you, Amazon, for ruining that take. That doorbell that you heard was brought to you by Amazon and my wife buying something new, probably. Or it might be me. I have something on the way, so maybe we'll keep that in the podcast. All right, the first one we're going to talk about on the old bingo card today is the Media Day Reel Recap. If you don't know what a media day is, it's those photos you see of your favorite team when they're in uniform and standing in front of usually a solid backdrop, white, whatever other color they may be. It's what we use for a lot of our graphics throughout the year. Probably a lot of these items that I'm going to be talking about on the old 25 item bingo card. And then usually there's always a behind the scenes. I did the air quotes again. I got to stop doing air quotes for a podcast. Excuse me. Behind the scenes video kind of recapping the media day. And so That is definitely something you will see. It's something I've done. I usually have to hire my media day photographer. One, it saves me a lot of time, but two, and just to be blunt and honest, I'm still not very good with lighting and shooting studio shots. Um, I'm a journalist by trade, but I've picked up the camera 20 years ago, just about. And I've learned everything just by trial and error and the old University of YouTube. So, plus, I think it's a better use of my time to be able to do a lot of the other things I have to do. So, um, but I'm hoping to learn the lighting stuff. But how can we make that, just regular behind the scenes stuff a little sexier or maybe a little different? You could always ask bloopers. I've seen that. Um, and I've also seen you could do some behind the scenes voiceovers of the event happening, of course. And then also, I always, and I'm trying to do a better job of kind of having a shot chart for myself before I go in. And so I know if I'm going to be taking video of someone about to do their shot, I'm writing it down or I'm making sure I'm filming it. And so I have that. I could do kind of a before, what it looked like, and then after it's edited photo. Those are really cool. I really enjoy those. So that's number one. Number two is that first day of practice photo dump. I have done this for a very long time. I usually try to run out to all of my team's first practices and shoot photos. It's easy content. It's stuff that people like because it just lets them know the season's kind of getting rolling. It doesn't take me too long. I'm usually red and roasting afterwards because the old August heat, but no, great content to use. How can we remix it? You can maybe do like a side by side if you get like a senior picture of them on the first day. And if you've been at the university or your team long enough, maybe match it up with like a first day of practice shot of that same person as a freshman you may have. I've thought about doing that. You could always do mic'd ups, which is, spoiler alert, is also on this list. And we'll talk about that later. But yeah, there's some different things you can do. Number three is the old season opener countdown graphic. So we've all seen that one, right? The one that says, it's usually like 50 days and then it has a player like bouncing through the zero or something. And, it's a really cool graphic and it does give people kind of an idea of what it's coming. And I will be perfectly honest and sorry to break this trade secret, but honestly, it's just easy content for us to put out when there's just not a lot of content to put out at this time of year. I'm not in love with them, but it is something to put out. I maybe should do it more, but yeah, those are easy ones to if you're trying to just continue to post consistently to put out. Number four is tried and true, and you will see this one. We all post them. It's the good old game day graphic. If you don't know what a game day graphic, the name kind of says it all. It's the graphic we put out to let people know that our team that we are working for has a game. So, yeah, it's kind of old school, but also tried and true. Does the job. I wouldn't necessarily look at changing these up too much. I mean, obviously, you could change the look of them every year. But I do like having these be pretty consistent because I do feel like it's part of a branding thing where you want somebody to be able just by the look of the graphic to see that, oh, that's insert, school you work for, right? Whether it's the color or the design or whatever else, like, as you're scrolling through or someone's scrolling through, it'll maybe stop them and go, oh, they have a game today without even having to see it's the sports account that they follow. So that's kind of my thought on the game day graphic. Please, always, and for all these, I would love to hear just some different spins and ideas. And I think it'd be kind of a cool episode, is to kind of maybe gather some of these different ideas that maybe I haven't talked about. So you could shoot me a DM at Sports Creatives Anonymous on all my social medias, or you could email me at sportscreativesanonymous@gmail.com. Shameless plug. All right, number 5, we got the jersey reveal. So if your team gets a new uniform, jersey, kit, whatever you want to call it, You'll usually see like a post, or I've done a video kind of release of it. I did something with our soccer teams last year where we kind of did it in a dark gym and had them, kind of doing different things with like the small lighting. I think photo wise, you could do a lot of cool stuff with them as well. Maybe to kind of remix it up instead of just like posting the uniform. I always like the like really close shots, whether it's like a photo of like the material and the color, maybe a close shot of one of the patches on the uniform, and then maybe slowly kind of move it out or whatever else through like a carousel of photos. I think that's kind of a cool way to do it as well. Number 6, we're talking another one you are definitely going to see, which is the score graphic. Yeah, it's that final score graphic you're going to see see if your team won or lost. This is something I know I want to improve a little bit. I think I've been kind of stuck in the old school a little bit where I've tried to put too much information on there, where I'm trying to put stats on there and all these other things where I think honestly people just kind of want to see the score in a really cool photo. So I know that's something I'm definitely looking to do towards this upcoming season. Talking about what's something that you do to make it different. I think being intentional about the photo you use. That's something that I sometimes see, which I'm surprised, especially at even some quite well-known higher institutions where I'll see you could either tell that they took the photo and they just used the best photo instead of the photo that best represents what happened in the game. If you have a player break a record or do something, it's cool to make sure you have that photo, or just a cool, like if you win, a very emotional photo is better than maybe a cool action photo. Yeah, I think really understanding the vibe of what happened in the game. Also, something I've done in the past that I wish I could do more of is I like throwing video in there sometimes, just throwing a highlight behind it. A lot of different things you could do with a score graphic, but that is one you will definitely see before October. Another one you'll see is number 7 here. It's a good tried and true, good middle of the week content filler is your stat leaders, right? A lot of times you'll see conferences do this, but schools will do it too. You'll just, it's hard for those of us in smaller schools to try and do this because if we do it for one team, we got to do them for all the teams, right? All right, number 8 is one you will also definitely see before spooky month hits is the Athlete of the Week award. Oftentimes you'll see this from the conference, and usually it's kind of shared and collaborated with the school. And that's something I'm doing more of. I used to create them all myself, but I realized, hey, let's save a little time, effort, work smarter, not harder, right? Something you could do to jazz it up, I think, is if you do create your own, or maybe even find a highlight video of them during the week, or maybe package a couple together of videos of their performance, which helped them earn the award, and then maybe overlay the award and the conference logo and whatever else. I think there's just some different ways to do that where you're not doing the exact same thing the conference is probably going to be doing. Number 9 is first W of the season. A lot of teams, I don't know if I've really done this, but I have seen it quite a bit where like it's like first dub or first W or something like that. You'll see it usually, hopefully early in the season, right? I definitely would not acknowledge first win of the season if you are in October. That might be a bad idea, but the coaches, players, programs may not appreciate that. It might come off a little wrong. But yeah, I think that's one that you'll see pretty often. To change that up, you'll see that a lot too with, especially if you have a new coach. I think that's something I have done is where I'll make sure I highlight that. And so the important part obviously is make sure you get footage of coaches. That's something I sometimes miss. I'll be honest. Like I will get a couple games into the season and I'm realized, oh my gosh, I haven't taken a photo of a coach yet. So it's pretty in my brain now where one of the first games of the season, I make sure I hit a bunch of different photos of the coach and make sure I have those kind of on file for stuff like this or for the next one we're going to talk about, which is number 10. And it's a coach milestone graphic. You will probably see this before the end of the year. If you'll see, like I said, a first win, 100 wins, 50 wins. Those are kind of the ones I highlight. unless they're breaking a record, like the school record, then you'll obviously do a different one. But, kind of find it weird sometimes when I see like 25th win or 30th win. I feel like you gotta stick with those round numbers of first, 50, 100. I don't even like 50 that much, but it depends on what sport you're in, how many games you play. But yeah, you see the coach, the photo, and the number of however many wins or whatever, right? A way you can definitely change it up a little bit is kind of, if you know it's coming, like especially if it's a milestone one, maybe have a couple of the athletes do like a voiceover for it or film something for it, congratulating coach or whatever else. That's always kind of a cool way. Or maybe use like an old photo if it's like someone that's been there a long time. Try to find one of their first photos when they were at your institution, and then show the current one. All right, number 11 is one that usually if you'll see on the team accounts, because oftentimes the teams themselves run these instead of the main athletic accounts. And I'm speaking about college sports here. If you're doing professional or high school, obviously it's kind of a different world. But this one is the behind the scenes riding on the bus content. Often you'll find every year you'll find a photo from a team, like it'll say business trip, and a bunch of people with their headphones on in the bus seats, right? Something like that. At my level, and usually D2 and below, we often don't travel with teams, unlike when I was at the Division I level, where I would travel with our women's basketball team when I was at New Mexico, or I'd hop along with the baseball team, just do different things. But at this level, I usually don't travel unless we're at nationals and we don't have home events going on, because if we have home events, I usually got to be there to mostly run those. So, but I think ways to kind of change it up, obviously you could do some different things that are kind of fun. It's like if you're doing one with the headphones, like what's on your playlist, that's always a one, which you might think that's actually more generic than just the business trip one. There's a lot of different things you could do, because especially for the schools that have to travel long ways on these buses, there's some time to kill. All right, we're at number 12. Number 12, we got pregame content. So that's something I actually like to do, and I wish I would do a little more of, is shooting some photos before the game, hurrying up, getting it on my social media real quick, or not my social media, but the team's or the department's social media, to kind of be like, hey, game's happening, warming up, here we go. I think it's just stuff you don't always usually see, especially if I get in the locker room or do something like that. I think those are really cool shots. But often you're only seeing the ones that are like, oh, they're on the field and whatever else. But I think, to remix it, like I said, I think going in the locker room, if you get a coach speech, if your coach is cool with you going in there, just maybe a quick film of them walking out to the court where it's dark, 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 and obviously it kind of opens up. There's some different ways you could do the pregame content. All right, number 13, we have the game winner reel or video. Most people, most teams will have a game winner in one way or the other before October, but it's usually that shot, whether it's the broadcast shot, or hopefully you have someone with a camera, or you're the one with the camera on the sideline with that shot and you're able to post it. Usually just, that's always a great shot. It really does need a ton of remixing. Obviously, I think some of the cool ones, if you do have multiple people shooting, is if it's coming down to the end, communicating with another photographer, videographer, whoever, to like film the crowd. I think that's always fun seeing those shots. I wish I could think about that before I'm doing it. Something that's on my kind of list of things for this year. I'm hoping to have a few more students that are interested in shooting for us, and we could kind of divvy up some of this stuff. Or the bench. I think another one is like having someone concentrate on the bench on a game-winning shot, or if a game-winning shot's about to happen. All right, number 14 is going to make me sound like a stick in the mud. It's going to make me sound like No Fun Jones. And I'm going to apologize now because I hate this post. I shouldn't say hate. That's a bit strong. But number 14 is the player birthday post. I'm not completely opposed to it, I guess. I definitely am on main accounts. Something I have never done when I ran main accounts. And frankly, I didn't like doing them when I ran team accounts either. These are adults. I'm kind of, maybe I'm a little jaded and old where I'm like, birthdays are cool, but they probably are really cool, celebrated by the people they love and everything else, and aren't necessarily the work that goes into making sure you create the graphic, making sure you have it on the right day, all that stuff. There's just a lot more fish to fry, at least on the things that I'm doing. And it's not that I care about the student athlete any less. I just think I was at a school, I won't name it, but the amount of time and effort, and there was a document that this person kept with all the birthdays of every single student athlete. I commend their spirit, and maybe they are just a better human than I am, but I definitely feel like I have better things to do and can benefit the program using my time a lot better. But yeah, you'll probably see a birthday graphic, and I'm not against them. Like I said, maybe I'm just an old fuddy-duddy, and that's my get off the lawn rant. But yeah, you'll see that one. How to remix it? Don't do them. Let's, maybe that'll be my the hill I'm gonna die on. Don't normalize birthday athletic posts. Oh man, I am not going to be popular for that opinion probably. Number 15 is the newcomer debut graphic. This one is definitely, I think, professional sports. You'll see this a lot more than at the college level, because I know even for me, having 13 sports, I can't keep up with who's the hot recruit that came in as the newcomer or whatever else all the time. Also, like, where do you draw that line of like, ooh, you do a newcomer graphic for this person, or hey, first bucket for so-and-so. I don't know. I think you got to kind of play that by feel. They are cool, I think. It's something, and I do think about the marketing aspects of things a lot with my job, but I think there's also a point, especially when you work at a smaller institution, that you do it for the family and friends and the student athlete themselves, right? So I think, maybe I won't always make a special post, but if I know, a soccer player, she scores her first goal of her career, I'll make sure I do that. We actually did a first. It was 2 years ago. It was senior day, the last game of the season. And our senior shortstop, who had played pretty much all 4 years, had never hit a home run in a game. And she hit one, like last game of the year, her first career homer. It was insane. Like, everybody went nuts. And so that was actually a really cool post that got a ton of traction, because yeah, that's kind of the unique kind of standpoint, right? Like, senior who I think she had 400 plus at bats, right? Hadn't hit a home run, but that was like a cool moment to be like, first home run. All right. Number 16, we are at Throwback Thursday. You will definitely see a Throwback Thursday on an account between now and October. Usually it's some old photo. I hate to say this, but most of the time it feels very random. But I think a way to kind of improve that graphic that you may put out all the time, kind of be conscious about what's happening with your team or sport or whatever else, right? And if someone's about to break the rushing record, maybe do a Throwback Thursday the week before, or the Thursday before a game you think a record's going to be broken. And that kind of like also promotes the game coming up, promotes the person about to break the record, kind of does a lot of different things, and also kind of commemorates the person that used to hold the record. So I think that's a good way to make sure that you're kind of elevating that Throwback Thursday. 17, you will probably see a photo of the team mascot on your favorite teams or your own social media. I don't always do this. I maybe should do this more, but I think a cool maybe alternative to doing this is maybe having fun with it and making it kind of a skit, and having a kind of a takeover, maybe like an IG takeover or something like that with the mascot, right? And just have somebody running around with maybe just the mascot's arm on, holding the phone, doing things, right? And then obviously maybe have them in full suit doing other things. Yeah, different way to kind of do the mascot, promote the mascot thing. All right, number 18, we got the ranking graphic. So if your team's pretty good, you're probably going to have a ranking graphic, and you've probably seen them. It'll be a big number with the team, a photo, or usually one of those media day shots or something like that, with it done artfully and everything else. Those are fun. I do enjoy those. I do use those as well. But I think maybe kind of a cool twist to doing one is maybe popping in a video highlight with it to kind of open it up. Obviously, you could get even more creative with the number in terms of maybe make the number really big and all the photos or whatever else you have on the inside of the number, depending on what number it is. Yeah, there's different things you can do to get creative and keep those fresh. All right, 19 is the facility flex post. You know, those posts you'll see about, new field or new, check out the new concession stand, check out this, or, check out the new playing surface or whatever else. There's usually some kind of, post you'll see that you'll do or you'll see on your favorite team's social media about their facility. It's pretty straightforward. It's usually like a panoramic view of something or whatever else. I think if it's like a facility or like if it's the whole gym or the football field or football field was kind of hard. Soccer field. I like time lapse. I think it's cool to kind of show time lapse stuff. If you have time lapse of the being updated itself, that's really cool. Okay, number 20 is the highlights of the week. Usually you'll see these maybe from a conference where they'll put together those highlights of the week. I kind of like when the conference does them. But you could also do them as an individual program. Obviously, this is directed more towards my folks working within the inside of these teams. But yeah, it's something I don't know if I've really done too often because I think I'm usually gassed by the end of the week and early in the week. The last thing I sometimes have time or want to do is go through all the highlights. But I think if I'm a little more intentional about maybe clipping the highlights as it happens or if what I've used and putting them away somewhere as it happens, I think definitely something I want to try to do more of this year. And I think another interesting thing you could do that I've thought about doing is maybe you do a play of the week, right? And early in the week, maybe whoever that made that play you bring in and then kind of do like a director's cut or they voice over what they were kind of thinking and seeing during that play. I think that's kind of a cool way to incorporate the student athlete or the athlete if you're covering professional sports. All right, 21, the record graphic. Someone breaks a record. Kind of the same as the ranking graphic, right? You're probably going to see this before October. Big number or big headshot, name, and name of the stat, right? It's kind of speaks for itself. They're easy to do. I usually have a template of this one already, I admit, and it just kind of makes it easy to get it rolling at least. Usually if it's depending on the record, I'll change it up. But yeah, this is one that usually have like kind of ready to go already. Especially because you don't know single game, like if something's going to happen. And if you have to completely build that from scratch, it's definitely going to be time consuming. I think a way to remix it and something I have done is used video. If there's a moment that happened, right? Kind of incorporate that video or make it a carousel and show the video on the next one or just different ways to just, I think video is even better, to be honest, because seeing the moment is a lot more emotional or emotionally charged than just seeing someone's face and a record broken. Actually seeing it happen, especially if there's a reaction to it. All right, we're getting down to the last few here. Number 22 is the weight room gains shot. If it's not on the main account, you'll definitely see it on one of your team's accounts. Is some footage of your team in the weight room getting after it, sweating, grunting, all that fun stuff, right? I think a way to remix it, and something we've done in the past, or I've done in the past, or I've had a student do in the past, or an assistant do in the past, is we've mic'd up a person in the weight room because it tends to not be as focused, and you can usually get some pretty, especially if you pick the right person, right? That's what it's all about, is picking the right person to wear a microphone. That's probably almost a whole podcast in itself, is picking the right person to do it mic'd up. Because if you pick the wrong person to do it mic'd up, it's going to be a long day in the editing process, let me tell you. You could also, I think another thing you could do is use text over the video. If somebody's, benching an ungodly amount of weight, or if it's a, weight room record or something like that, that's cool stuff too. Usually, like I said, these are Teams accounts, and, but you'll see it. You're going to see it before October, because people be in the weight room. They're in there right now. All right. Number 23 is the community service post. So especially at a school like mine at Western Oregon, our classes don't start until almost the end of September. So our student athletes usually get here second or third week of August. So that's a lot of time for them to have on their hands, even if they're doing 2 days, even if they're doing whatever. It's some time. So usually what coaches have done, or they do, is they kind of put in a community service day, right? They go clean up a park, they go to an elementary school. And if there's a way you want to kind of do something different with that, I think, something cool to do would be talking to maybe the people that are there, that the students are there helping, and talking about what it means for them to be there. That's going to be more impactful than maybe just a photo itself. You could always use it as B-roll or a voiceover or whatever else. But I think having something where the person impacted is will speak volumes more than just a photo of, Joe Smith, soccer player with a shovel in his hand. 2 more. We got at 24, the very well-placed photo of the crowd that makes it look like the house is packed. Oh, I am guilty of this one, let me tell you. You'll definitely see a crowd shot before the end of October, but especially if I know, all those of us at lower levels where maybe our attendance isn't going to be 10,000, 5,000, or even 1,000, depending on the venue, right? When you do have like a packed section, I do like taking photos, especially trying to frame it where the action is happening in front of those photos, because those are the ones that you could use for promotion and just do a lot of different things with. So you will definitely see a photo that is intentionally shot in a certain way to make it look like the place is packed. All right, our last one, number 25. We made it to 25, is the mic'd up post. I enjoy these. These are always, there's catch-22s, right? It depends on the coach, depends on the program, depends on just who you're dealing with, whether this is going to be a good idea or not. Depends on your wireless microphone situation. But like I said before, I think a key is picking the right person. Don't waste your time if they're just like, I want to put it on this senior, and you already know this senior barely talks, barely does anything. It's not going to be fun. I'd rather have somebody who doesn't even play, or a freshman during a practice, or whoever, who I know is going to, be a little more animated in front of the camera and with the mic on. Something you do to remix it, right, is do an assistant coach. Especially if the head coach is not down for it. There's many that are not down for them. Or a manager if, the team's cool with it, right? I think kind of seeing a behind the scenes look at what they do. I don't know if I'm going to have a actual bingo card made up, I'll be honest. It's always one of those things, right? You say, I'll do it. And then you look at the time to do it and whatever else. It's like, So, don't hold me to that, but I have a side business I'm trying to run. I'm doing this podcast. Got personal life, right? Have things to do. So, but maybe I'll still list them out at least, and maybe somebody else that has time, they could do it, or maybe I'll still do it. Who knows? Maybe I'll ask, and dare I say, AI to do it. Insert evil, ominous music here. I feel like that needs to be said every time a creative podcast mentions AI. Hear that? That's scary as fuck. Embrace AI, people. Embrace it, please. It'll make your job easier. It's not going to take it. Anyways, I mentioned all these things on this bingo card because I don't want you to think you're lazy or that you might feel less than, like, oh, those are things I do. That's all things I do, right? Um, a lot of us, especially with smaller departments, we wear a lot of hats and we have to template these things. Calling out these patterns kind of gives us power a little bit to be prepared and be ready. And, we could build the space that we need to do other things. And when we do need the bandwidth to make a exceptional graphic, an exceptional video, we have that time instead of spending it doing something that we could have prepared for. I create a template before every season with my game day, my final graphics, my awards, and kind of do branding with all that stuff so they all look very similar. So people, when they go across those, they're like, oh, that's, right now, Western Oregon. So it saves me time and it gives me the opportunity to do other things outside of those graphics that are kind of the mandatory ones, right? So enough about my fall sports bingo card. What's something I missed that might be on your fall sports bingo card that you're definitely going to see on social media before the end of October on a team account? Shoot me a DM or tag me at Sports Creatives Anonymous on all social media, or you can email me at sportscreativesanonymous@gmail.com. Let me know which ones that maybe you've already posted and which ones are inevitable. And please remember, these templates are tools for us, really, right? They're not crutches. And our goal, especially in the fall here, is to survive the season and still like your job when November comes around. One last thing, if you don't mind doing me a favor and subscribing to the podcast wherever you're listening to this, or on my YouTube channel as well, leave a comment, rate it, hopefully a good one. But go ahead and leave a shitty one too. At least I know you're there. And share this with another sports creative SID that may feel a little overwhelmed as we head into the fall sports season and might just need a laugh.